Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, find a seat. So Jay Courtney will return for Suicide Squad 2 as Captain Boomerang. I thought this was a reboot. No. Right, so Peter Safran has already said that James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie is not a sequel to the first one. It's a film in its own right. Now, what that doesn't mean is that this version of the Suicide Squad isn't treating kind of David Ayer's Suicide Squad as an existing movie. I believe David Ayer's Suicide Squad is a jumping off point for this film. It's just not a sequel. It's probably not going to continue certain threads. For example, I don't know what they're going to do with Harley Quinn. As far as I know, Harley Quinn, I've been told, and I've been assured that Harley Quinn is involved in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I've been told that Viola Davis will be back as Amanda Waller, which I'm very excited about because she was brilliant as well. But let's talk about Captain Boomerang, aka Jay Courtney. One of my favourite elements of this movie. The guy cracked me up. Now, before his performance as Captain Boomerang in David Ayer's Suicide Squad, I didn't really kind of rate Jay as an actor, and I thought, he's a bit of a pretty boy. He was even in a Die Hard film with Bruce Willis. He's okay. He's passable. He could always deliver his lines, but I just didn't think, we're talking about Captain Boomerang, for crying out loud. He was amazing. He oozed personality in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I thought David Ayer did a really great job with getting a great performance from him, and he was one of my favourite elements of that film. So I'm really excited he's coming back, and this film is really shaping up to be something special. What James Gunn will do, he will bring in. There will be fun to it. There will be banter. There will be that group banter that we've seen in both of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So I'm very, very excited for this film, and I'm very pleased and excited that Jay Courtney will return as Captain Boomerang in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So more on that film as it comes in. So basically, let me before I dive into this, I want to tell you that I believe the DC Universe streaming service original dramas like Titans, like Stargirl, which I'll be talking about in a minute, and kind of the stuff they're working on, I believe that's all part of the DCEU, the DC Cinematic Universe. I think it's all part of the same universe. I really, really do. Now, where it trips me up, I suppose, because we've kind of got a version in that universe of Cyborg. So that does that mean he'll be playing Cyborg in the DC Cinematic Universe? Listen, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be very, very interesting, but it does look like quite a few of the less kind of successful members of Zack Snyder's casting will be replaced. Now, when I say less successful, do I not like Ezra Miller? Do I not like Henry Cavill? Of course not. That would be stupid. Do I not like Ben Affleck? I don't mean that. I just mean that honestly, there's been issues with them. I feel that what happened with Cyborg was that he could have had a great movie. I love that actor, and I think his support for Zack Snyder has been brilliant. The problem is, I just don't think they're going to go back and get that guy to play Cyborg again. I don't think Ezra Miller's going to play the Flash, as I did my video yesterday. And we know that Ben Affleck is not Batman anymore, and I've already told you, I don't believe Henry Cavill will play Superman again. So things are changing at the DCEU. But yes, so basically what I'm building up to is that they're starting to reveal some stuff about the Jeff Johns Stargirl TV series. It's all him. It's all from his mind. Stargirl is a great, great character. I thought they did quite a good version of her in Smallville. I think the version of her in the Arrowverse is absolutely crap. She's pretty much just attractive and nothing underneath, which is typical of Arrowverse, but I'm really looking forward to. So they actually released a picture, so you should check that out online because I've got no editing software, so I can't put it up for you, which is a shame, but she looks absolutely fantastic. It's more artwork than a photo, so the promotions for that are coming in, and I do believe a lot of the DC Universe's original content from the DC Universe streaming service is connected to DC Films and the DCEU. Now, my main talking point today is how Patty Jenkins saved Wonder Woman. Now, Kevin Tsujihara made a lot of odd decisions while running Warner Brothers and having kind of veto rights on the DCEU. He interfered with Batman v Superman. We know he interfered with Ayer's kind of cut of Suicide Squad, which really damaged that film. We know he interfered with Justice League and wanted it under 2 hours. He obviously was the one who decided to move Zack Snyder on. It's obvious that he was the one who felt uncomfortable with proceeding with Zack's vision for Justice League. So Kevin Tsujihara was a big issue, but the most nuts, crazy thing he ever wanted to do was edit out the No Man's Land sequence from Wonder Woman, and that made him and Patty Jenkins go loggerheads together. She was not happy about that. I think there was an issue of maybe her leaving, and I think in the end somehow, and I don't know how she did it, she actually managed to say to him, do you know what? This is ridiculous. This is a very important sequence. This is that moment when my hero stands up and says, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something that none of you can do. And so the No Man's Land sequence is beautiful. Every element of it, every aspect of it. And for Kevin Tsujihara to want that cut out, it shows you he was the enemy of the DCEU. We would have had a 3-hour Batman versus Superman from the off if it wasn't for him. We would have had, we would have continued with Zack Snyder's 5-movie Justice League arc plan. And it would have been beautiful. And as I say, if they didn't want to continue with him after the arc, fair enough. I think we would have been disappointed, but we wouldn't have been as irate as we would have been, because his Justice League was going to be awesome and epic, and we got that watered down version, and that's a shame, and that really hurt the franchise at the time. And if it wasn't for Peter Safran and Walter Hamada coming in and fixing kind of Tsujihara's mistakes, where would we be now? We would be absolutely nowhere. And I think those two guys are doing a great job. So yes, it was. When you hear about Warner Brothers interfered and Warner Brothers don't, because that gives a really, iconic studio a bad name. Kevin Tsujihara obviously represented Warner Brothers because he was running the thing, but it was him who was kind of, banging the nails in the DCEU coffin by some of the decisions he was making. He didn't have a clue. The reason the MCU has been very successful as a product, right? At least a product, not necessarily making 2021 great movies, but as a product, is because Feige was allowed to do his thing. Feige is clever. He's beyond just a comic book writer. This guy knows how to sell it, and he's very clever about doing it. And what Tsujihara was doing, he wasn't really getting that. And Tsujihara was a massive, massive problem that Christopher Nolan tried to protect Zack Snyder from when he was directing Man of Steel, but unfortunately, as Christopher Nolan moved away, the problem with Tsujihara became bigger and bigger. And now, thankfully, if you're a purist as a DCEU fan, you'll be very, very happy that Tsujihara is gone, and I can't wait to see who comes in to replace him, because he was an element. Even with the way everything was changing and New Line Cinema running the DCEU, and Peter Safran and Walter Hamada doing this great job, I think while he was there, there was always that shadow over the DCEU, and that shadow has been cast aside, and now we've got a bright, beautiful picture. And when you go and see Shazam, you let me know what you think, and you'll know the DCEU is going in a great direction. So despite Tsujihara's interference, Wonder Woman became a great movie because of Patty Jenkins. And here's to my next point. This is why you shouldn't doubt Patty Jenkins when you hear all these rumours. Now, because I want to talk about something. So the rumour has been for the past month now that Cheetah's origin story in Wonder Woman 1984 will be different, that she has some wish fulfillment. I think I've discussed this before. So she wishes she was Wonder Woman. It goes wrong. And then what happens is that she becomes Cheetah instead of Wonder Woman. And so what happens with that then is I think a lot of people are going to be very, very unhappy. And I don't think that's what people want. So I think the element of the whole thing is keep Cheetah's origin story, please. But what I would say to you is trust Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins is the reason the first Wonder Woman film was brilliant, and you do need to trust her. She is going to give us a great movie. I think I don't have a problem with Wonder Woman 1984 not being a sequel as such, whatever that means. I think it is a film in its own right, and I think the reason they keep on coming out and saying, hey, Wonder Woman's not a sequel, Suicide Squad is not a sequel to David Ayer's Suicide Squad, for one reason, because they want to show you, the public, me and you, the fans, that they want each film to be an entity in its own right, and they don't want to have to kind of build things up and make films generic like the MCU do. You're watching a film, it should be the best it can possibly be. And that's the message they're trying to bring out to the fans and the public. And that, my friends, is a beautiful message.